Cebado. ¿Qué lo que, hermano? Oye, bro, don't you want to like study Spanish? I mean, I'm studying Portuguese right now. Like, let's have a study session.
Wait, what? Do I want to practice Spanish? Dude, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I had to work out. I had to make breakfast. Then I took a shower for my 10-hour shift at work today. Now I'm back at home. I have to cook again. I'm starving, but I don't feel like cooking right now because I'm so tired. Like, where am I going to find the time to study Spanish?
I mean, I feel you, but I'm kind of in between something right now too. I'm just, during my break, I'm studying this right now. Like, instead of watching what? Netflix?
Did you not hear what I said? I did today. It's like, I don't have to. You know what? Nah, forget it. I am going to practice my Spanish. Irse, ahora.
I'm just saying, I mean, this is proof you should study. It's not irse, it's vete. Hey, me fui. ¿Qué lo que mi gente? Yo soy Ricky de Bilingüe Vlogs. Thank you for coming back to another video. You are here today because you want to learn a language really bad, but you don't have the time to do so. And since you don't have a lot of time, let's get right into it right now. It's funny because I have a lot of tips, but you're probably thinking, okay, all the tips may be helpful, but first, where are we gonna get this time from? Where on earth do we find the time to do this? Okay, let's start there. So when people tell me they don't have time to learn a language, I typically hit them with the quote, we make time for the things that we want. I've seen it time and time again in other people's lives and also in my own life. If you have a job that takes up a lot of your time, I know for a fact that your attention does not go 100% to that job. I know that every job has downtime because, at least in the United States, we are required by law to give breaks and lunch breaks. So you have time right there. Maybe you don't want to spend your whole lunch break studying a language, but you have time. You can take half of that time, a quarter of that time to study a language. It's up to you. What I typically tell my Spanish students is to study for at least 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes out of 24 hours. Let me tell you, some people are so set on studying for hours at a time, and then when they can't study for hours at a time, they don't study. Guys, 30 minutes a day will do a lot better than 2 hours every 3 or 4 days because you're being more consistent. Studies show that if you see things more frequently, you remember them more, you recall them faster, you recall them more. So in my opinion, it's better to study in shorter increments. Now, let's say that you're really bent on studying for an hour. There's a lot of ways to break that down. There are 24 hours in a day. So you can break that down by doing 15 minutes 4 times a day. You can do 2 30-minute sessions. You can do 6 10-minute sessions. There are a lot of ways to break down an hour, but you can do it. You can get this done. That's how you find the time during the little breaks that you have. For a personal example, I just came back from a 3-month missionary trip in South Africa. When I was there, I was learning how to serve. And when I say learning how to serve, I mean literally my time was not my time. I was busy from sun up pretty much until sundown. So in the mornings, I would teach some of the students there, some of the younger kids there. I'm currently learning Portuguese. So when I was there, what I would do was my 15-minute breaks that I would get in between teaching the boys, I would study my Portuguese then. I would bring my book out, I would open a video on YouTube, I would write down some vocabulary, and then I would say these things out loud. I even vlogged about it. I have a video about it up there. All that stuff happened when I had some downtime there. Even though I was like so busy, I made time to study Portuguese and also the secret language that only my members and faithful supporters of Bilingüe Vlogs would know about. But yes, I studied both of those languages with 15-minute increments, and I'm still doing the same thing because I'm very busy here. I have a lot of videos to record for you guys. So that's where I found the time, and that's where you can find the time as well to study Spanish or whatever language you're learning. Step 2 would be, because like I said, I know you're not using all of your time to work. I know you're not using your whole 24 hours effectively. So stop scrolling mindlessly. Yes, it's okay to be on Instagram. It's okay to be on TikTok, on YouTube. I mean, obviously, I'm thankful for those things because many of you guys found me on these platforms. So they're such a blessing. However, I'm an educational channel, so it's good that you found my channel as opposed to watching some viral video that makes no sense or some silly dance that is not going to benefit you in any way. So if you're going to use social media, don't use it to mindlessly scroll. And I'm guilty of it too. Trust me, I'm guilty of it too. And we do need break time. So, if you're going to do it to a minimum. What I do nowadays is on Instagram, they have this feature called favorites. And I favorite all of the Portuguese pages that I follow. And now if I go to that favorites tab, it only shows me posts from those accounts. it's literally the best idea for immersing yourself in a language. You guys already know I immerse myself in Spanish y es por eso que hablo español como yo lo hablo, porque yo me sumergí en el idioma y ahora yo lo hablo como si fuera mi lengua materna, tú sabes. Pero I'm doing the same thing with Portuguese and my secret language. On TikTok, can't really do that. On YouTube, you can't really do that. But what you can do is search hashtags. If you're learning Spanish, type in learning Spanish, the hashtag on TikTok and also on YouTube, and you'll get shorts on YouTube. You will get TikTok videos with that category, and that will be your scrolling session. It's a small move, but it's so effective. If you don't have a lot of time to learn Spanish, you have to take advantage of this because it's gonna take you so far. Another thing that I've learned to do on Instagram is to create categories. When you save a video, you can put that video in a category. So I have my Portuguese category, I have my other secret language category. Let's say I don't want to scroll because you have to take time to review what you've learned. When I have a shorter amount of time, a shorter increment of time, what I will do is I will go to that folder and I will review the things that I've already seen, because just because you see it once, on your feed doesn't mean it's internalized, right? It doesn't mean that you learned that thing. It just means that you've been exposed to it. So you must go there to review frequently. Because you have such a busy schedule, you probably think that you cannot meet with a Spanish teacher. That is not true. I actually offer here at Bilingüe Blogs the Busybody Spanish lesson. My Busybody Spanish lessons are for 30 minutes and it's pretty fast paced because I don't like wasting people's time. So we get right into the lesson. I put the corrections in the chat, and it's your class, because whenever you sign up for a class with Bilingüe Blogs, it's your class. I can teach you whatever you want to know, but it's not school. So it's not like a set curriculum where we have to be so firm doing this or that. Whatever you want to learn, I will teach it to you in those 30 minutes. If that's phrases, if that's practicing Spanish comprehension, whether that's be teaching you verb tenses, whatever it's going to be, those are your 30 minutes. And that is exactly why I made the Busybody Spanish lessons for people like you who want to learn this language really bad, but don't have a lot of time. If you're here right now, most likely you don't have time to watch a whole movie. You don't have time to, binge on a series, but you can use something in Spanish called cortometrajes. What is a cortometraje? It's literally a short film. So it's a film that's 15 minutes or less. Sometimes it could be maybe 25 minutes or less, but I like to choose the ones that are a little bit less than 15 minutes because obviously don't have a lot of time to watch something, right? And you want to make sure that you have time to listen, but also to actively learn while you're listening. So, get your notebook out, write down new phrases, write down new words. Cortometrajes are a great idea when you don't have a lot of time on your hand and you want to learn Spanish or any language. You need to use cortometrajes. You can practice using these in many different ways. You can just listen and write down phrases and words. You can also describe the scenery. You can create questions for yourself that you want to answer for this cortometraje in Spanish. There's a lot of ways to go about it, but I think that it's a great idea. You guys know that here at Bilingüe Blogs, we're really big on different dialects, different accents of Spanish, because I think that in order to be a well-rounded Spanish speaker, you have to be able to understand Spanish speakers from everywhere. So with that being said, with cortometrajes, you can type in cortometrajes de Colombia, cortometraje dominicano, cortometraje de Puerto Rico, de Nicaragua. It doesn't matter where it's from. You can type in on YouTube cortometrajes and then put el país after it, put the country after it, and there you go. Now you can listen to how that accent sounds, how that dialect sounds. So yeah, take advantage of cortometrajes. If you're like me, maybe you're always attached to a screen and you don't want to be attached to a screen. So there is another option for those of you who like to read, who want to get out there and do something that's not on a screen. You can read short stories. There are short stories in your target language. If they have them in English, they're going to have them in other languages. Or let's say that you really want to read a longer book. Let's say you're more advanced and you want to read a novel. That's okay too. Just set a limit, do 5 pages a day, do 10 pages a day, and then really make sure that you're consistent with it and that you're actually going through with these actions. Otherwise, you're not going to learn. As you read, make sure that you're taking notes of the new words, taking notes of the phrases that you never have heard before. Look them up, see what they mean, start using them in your own way of speaking. And you have to really be proactive with these things, because if not, you're not really doing it correctly. Since you don't have a lot of time, you have to make sure that you are really doing this correctly. Of course, you can't just listen and watch all day, right? You can't just read all day. You are learning your target language because you want to communicate verbally with people, right? You want to connect and break those language barriers. So I have to mention that you can still use a language partner. Now, your language partner relationship has a few different options, but I'm going to give you 2 different ways that I found them to be effective. You can either learn a language with somebody that doesn't know it, somebody that speaks your language that is learning the language with you. When I was in South Africa, one of my sisters, she decided that she wanted to learn Portuguese with me. So her and I would talk to each other in Portuguese, and we still talk to each other in Portuguese on WhatsApp, you know, as we're learning. Obviously, we're not pros, we're definitely super beginners, but we're holding each other accountable, sharing information that we learn here and there, and you know, talking to each other in Portuguese. So that's a good way to do it. If you want to find somebody, if you know somebody who's at the same level as you or close to your level, and you want to practice with that person, you can have, you know, weekly conversations, chat 3 to 4 times a week. You know, it doesn't matter how long, but obviously you don't have a lot of time, so you can't do it as long as you probably would like to. Or maybe you can, because like I said, nobody's busy 24 hours a day, right? But that's option number 1. Option number 2 would be to get on a language exchange site. You guys know that I've mentioned this 1,000 times on this channel about language exchange sites, but I haven't really told you how to go about doing a language exchange site. So I'm going to tell you here, and I'll probably make another video about this in the future. But if you're going to do a language exchange, number 1, you got to set boundaries. You got to set time boundaries, and you have to set conversation boundaries. Why is this? Time boundaries. Let's say that you're dealing with somebody who wants to learn English and you want to learn Spanish. Okay, but if they know more English than you, sometimes they can dominate the whole conversation because you're scared to speak Spanish, but they're not afraid to speak English, and they just speak English, and you teach them English the whole time, and then they have to go. We don't want that to happen. So when you start your language exchange, let's say you're gonna do it for 30 minutes. You tell your language partner, hey, we're gonna do 15 minutes Spanish, 15 minutes English, and you know, we're gonna talk about this today. And if they agree, then go ahead. If they don't agree, then you know, come to another agreement. But you have to set your boundary. And the reason you have to set what you're gonna talk about is, number 1, so that it can benefit you. And number 2, because many times they want to get married and you're not there for that. You're there to learn a language, right? So make that clear. Esto es lo que quiero practicar hoy. Podemos practicar esto por como 15 minutos y, you know, let them know how it is. But anyways, language exchanges for a time period, they can definitely help you if used effectively. So use them effectively, okay? That leaves us with one more category, and that will be the vocabulary. How are we going to learn our vocabulary? Well, you know, just learn how to talk about what's around you, what's relevant to you, and then branch out. I always say it, then branch out. So, you know, you have your list online, you have real life experience where you can just literally type in on SpanishDict.com or on WordReference.com, whatever word it is. But once you learn that word, cut out the middleman. Don't add that to your list. Just literally look at that thing and be like, okay, reloj, arete, pelo, boca. If you don't have a lot of time, you don't want to spend a lot of time reviewing vocabulary, you have to see things for what they are in your target language, and that'll help you tremendously. All right, so this video was going to be 7 tips, but I'm going to give you a bonus because I just thought about it right now and you stayed this long to the end of the video. So let's talk about it. If you don't have a lot of time, you have to be extremely, extremely focused on what you're learning. And that means you need to set goals. Set weekly goals. I have time now that I'm back in Miami, but I'm still making weekly goals, weekly practical things that I want to know how to do in these languages. So that way I stay on task. I don't get distracted. I don't get lost. None of those things. However, if you don't even have time to sit down and make goals, then I do have a solution for you. You can sign up for a Spanish consultation with me. I already have a curriculum waiting for you. So sign up for a consultation with me, and I will give you a Spanish self-study guide. I set the goals for you, and all you gotta do is just look it up and put it into work. It's really simple. Guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. If you found this video helpful, don't just stare. Share, hit that share button, okay? Déjame un comentario, por favor. Also, subscribe to this channel. This video was free for you to watch, but a lot of time, effort, and planning does go into videos like this. So support the channel by donating with the thank you button down there. Or if you want to be a long-term supporter, go ahead and join the Bilingüe Blogs YouTube membership. The link is in the description down below. Pero ya tú sabes, mi gente, hasta aquí el video de hoy, mi gente. Y nos vemos.